me about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibilities. Find your power, passion, and your purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dream. Right now. Inspirational perspective.
What we're going to be discussing is, I already know it's going to be somewhat controversial in some ways, but it shouldn't be. But I believe it will be. It's not everybody's going to agree. But what we're going to be discussing is the case for marriage. The case for marriage. Why would anyone want to be married?
Ridiculous.
Now, I got to say this because as I was thinking about this show, I was like, man, you know what? If 15 years ago, someone came to me and said, you know, one day you're going to host a radio show defending marriage and talking about the case for marriage, I probably wouldn't have believed them. I don't know. But what about you? I mean,
strange thing. Despite my past life, that's my disclaimer. I'm sure it may come up before. But you know what? I've always, for the most part, knew that I wanted to be married.
Okay.
It wasn't like a burning ambition. It wasn't like a life goal per se.
Gotcha.
Because I just assumed that I would be.
Got it. And I assumed that I didn't know how to do it.
Right.
And so since I didn't know how, it was something I probably shouldn't do.
Right.
And so I was like, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I didn't know how either.
Yeah. I had no idea how. And the piece that really scared me was the lifelong commitment. Like the lifelong commitment. And again, remember, this is in the first 2 decades of life, right?
Right.
So I'm slowly entering the second decade, 23, 24 years old. It's like, how do people do this? But then again, at that age, I don't think we're equipped to do it.
Yeah, but that's odd. I find it a bit odd. And I'm thinking about myself, but then I'm thinking about sort of my relationship to individuals and communities and their relationship to marriage.
Okay.
Right? So like growing up, I had my mother and my father, right? And despite, I won't qualify their, I will. I'll just get right into it because I think this is what holds a lot of people back. Despite the dysfunction that I saw in marriages, not just like in my immediate family, like every marriage that I saw had a high level of dysfunction. I won't say every. No, that's not true because I got to give shouts out to Martha and Lewis Northcutt, who was my mother's cousin.
Okay.
And that was like the closest thing to like
you saw
the type
a
of marriage.
Healthy relationship there. Okay.
She was a homemaker. We would go to their house. She would cook. The house was always meticulous. You know, he was a nice guy, hardworking. You know, that type of thing.
And they seemed to like each other.
Yeah, they seemed to like each other. It wasn't crazy. It was calm. It was peaceful. So like that was, and I had a couple of others, right? But for the most part, there was a high level of dysfunction that I saw. Nevertheless, I always assumed that I would be married. And then juxtapose that, right? And then I think most people around me, if I had to guess, they weren't into marriage. Like I didn't hear anybody promoting marriage. But if I can jump straight to law school.
Okay.
And it changed my world. Because when I went to law school, now I saw 21, 22, 23-year-olds actually concentrating on marriage.
Yeah.
Like it was a goal. It was like a life goal.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I mean, like, this is going to be part of what I do. So, so schooling and the school you went to, right? Yes. Harvard is part of, like, this is part of my life plan.
Correct.
And then there's, like, steps, right? Yeah. So once I get this degree, correct me if I'm wrong, once I get this degree, then maybe you were in grad school. So then after that, maybe work for a little while, establish some level of financial stability. And then marriage is right around that corner.
Yeah, but they were ahead of that. Linal.
They were ahead of financial stability?
That blew me away.
Well, hold on. Were they? Or did they already have it?
Well, they already had it. Well, just like I didn't think about, I never thought about, am I one day going to be married? I just assumed that I would be. Mm-hmm. I think that they just sort of assumed that they will be financially stable.
I'll be financially stable.
Well, they've always been. Why would they even think about?
Exactly.
So the majority doesn't even think like that. You follow?
Yep.
That goes to probably...
Which is something we'll talk about today.
Yeah.
In terms of... Because I do want to talk about our community in particular and why we hold marriage the way that we do. Yeah. In contrast to what you're pointing to, another community where it's highly encouraged and often children are prepared or young people are prepared to take that step and encouraged to take that step quickly.
Yeah. I'm thinking 15, 20% were either engaged. No, 30, 40% were either engaged or in a very serious relationship. And we're talking they were 22, 23.
Very young. Yeah, I couldn't even wrap my mind.
Yeah.
I couldn't even wrap my mind around it at the age of 22, which I think has a lot to do with maybe how we're educated in our own community.
Yeah.
Fenton, I want to start with maybe some of the statistics and even look at why do people avoid marriage in our community in particular, because I think we have to stick it to our community because we realize that across other communities, marriage may not be avoided or looked at the way that we look at it in the black community.
Right.
And so I'm curious why, and especially because you have a different vantage point than many of us. You see behind the curtains and the scenes due to your work as an attorney.
Yes.
And so you get to see how people are thinking about their finances, thinking about what they've accrued in some way, thinking about their next business move, quote unquote. And as an attorney, I know I have some stats here, but I know you kind of see how this works in a good way and a bad way. Why would you say you believe people in our community are avoiding marriage? For those who may be avoiding this conversation, this step in their lives.
Big question. I don't know, but if I had to guess, what I hear in my, with my layman ears, I think there's a general distrust of marriage. Yeah. There's a general distrust of institutions, in our community. I think many, such as myself, saw a lot of dysfunction in relationships. But even fewer, I may have seen dysfunction, but I saw dysfunction between my mother and my father.
Right. Yep.
But I also saw two people working together and staying together, and having a family together and raising children together. So I've seen both sides. Mm-hmm. I think, unfortunately, many people just saw the dysfunction in it. And it probably ended. My mother and father, until my father passed, they were still together.
Got you.
And I got the benefits of that union. And again, I have family members. They may have dysfunction as well, cousins and so forth, aunts and uncles, but many of them stay together as well. So I think it's a general distrust of the institution of marriage and institutions. If I had to say, and I'm guessing, again, my layman ears, with respect to women, they're reading into the statistics. Mm-hmm. And now with this, sort of this quasi-new empowerment movement, many women are saying, well, I don't have to, quote unquote, settle, and all of what that may mean. And then I just think men are, I think, to be quite honest with you, I think there's a large contingency of men who just don't want the responsibility of marriage and what it means to be with this new age woman.
Got you. So 1950s, 1960s in the African American community, quote unquote black community, almost 90% of adults post 30 were married. Like almost 90, right? Mm-hmm. So like high 80s were married. This is 1950s, 1960s. Were married or had been married at one time, right? So maybe widowed, etc. And by the way, divorce at this point is at an all-time low. Now let's keep in mind that a lot of these marriages were still dysfunctional, but they were married.
Right.
Fast forward to the 70s, and according to statistics, we saw an increase in divorce like we've never seen, to the point where 1 out of 2 marriages ended in divorce. So in the 70s, early 80s, 1 out of 2 marriages ended in divorce. Now, very surprising, but the numbers now say that post 2010, that divorce has dropped. So divorce has dropped. Now, mind you, that's after 2008, so that's probably something there, right? But divorce has dropped, and people who are getting married after the age, if I'm not mistaken, of 35 have a much higher rate of success in their marriage.
That all makes sense to me.
All makes sense to you.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I mean, I missed something. We also distrust one another.
There we go.
I think most important is like there's a distrust amongst men and women.
Yes.
And we don't trust ourselves, right? And quote unquote, for lack of time and me just getting straight to it, I just think we're soft. I think the world is soft. And we want everything microwave.
So
if it doesn't fit me, perfect. If he doesn't make me perfectly happy, he's not my guy.
In this moment, too.
If she doesn't do everything that I want, if she harasses me, then I need a divorce. I'm better off alone.
Got you. So we don't have that stick-to-it-ism.
No.
That maybe our grandparents had, our parents had. We don't have that stick-to-it-ism. And because of that, and by the way, instant gratification society, because of that, we know marriage is for the long haul. And so if this doesn't feel to be going right in year number 1,
I'm
year
out.
number 2, I'm out. To start the cycle all over again, by the way.
Correct.
For most of us.
Yeah. And
Outside
then
of
the
marriage.
incentives before, right? Of course, women were not afforded the latitude that they have today in many regards. Socially, economically, professionally, so forth, right? Within the family, raising a child alone. So those were all stigmatized, or otherwise she was greatly exposed, from a personal standpoint. So now that a lot of those barriers have been sort of dropped or at least diminished, she has more latitude to make choice as to whether I stay or go.
Got you.
And once again, I think men are soft. We've grown increasingly, quote unquote, soft, for lack of a better term. We don't want to do the work. One, just for ourselves, but secondly, and we're talking about our community more specifically, and then 2, women are demanding more. So now it requires, as a man, that I do more, quote unquote, for less.
Yeah.
In our eyes, it's for less.
And what would be the less?
The less is like she doesn't listen.
Or she doesn't cook.
Yeah, she doesn't cook every day. She doesn't give. You can't. My fathers in the 60s and 70s, they stay out all night. They may be gone for 2 days. They had a girlfriend down the street.
That's true. That's true.
And that was commonplace.
And that was part of the dysfunction.
Yeah,
we talked about.
that was commonplace.
Very common. Yeah.
Half they could put their hands on you. So I'm saying men had quote unquote powers. I'm not saying if they were good or bad powers, but we had powers in the 60s, in the 70s that no way we have now.
So interesting, because for the most part, what I see is that women, I could be wrong, ladies correct me, but women tend to have they want to be married. They want that committed relationship. And what I hear you saying is part of the reason marriage is at an all-time low in our community is because men, like, we're not stepping up to the plate, nor do we want to, because we feel like we're getting a lot less.
Yes. I do believe that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't think women are stepping up to the plate either. I don't buy this notion that women want to be married. I think many women are just like men. It's just masked differently. I think women are walking around just like men. They're spoiled. They're entitled. They want it all. And a lot of them are not willing to compromise.
Amen to that. Yeah, true. Because marriage is full of, the only way to be successful is to compromise.
Yeah.
And compromise across the board.
Correct.
And compromise every day.
Yeah, but I think for a lot of women, the new age, and it's a big conversation. And again, this is a layperson. I'm a layperson speaking. This is simply my perspective. But, I just think a lot. I don't know what the percentage is. I think it's a lot, though. Mm-hmm. They want to retain their power. So this is a newfound power. So they say they want to be married, but the conditions under which they say they will be married are almost to the point where you can say they don't want to be married.
I only want to be married if I can have control.
Correct. They want it all.
Yeah.
And you don't get it all.
Right away, my mind goes to the ISIS Papers by Frances Cress Wessling. Dr. Frances Cress Wessling, where she talks about the complicated relationship between black men and black women and how this has been set up. It's been set up this way. I really want people to listen to what I'm saying because I'm hearing what you're saying. And by the way, I think you're hitting it right in the middle, right in the bullseye in terms of what's happening in our community with marriage, right? And by the way, I believe probably listening to you, both men and women are triggered because you hit on some things. Men are soft. A lot of brothers out here are soft. And when we're saying soft, I'm not saying you're physically weak.
No, they're soft.
We're talking about emotionally and mentally weak.
Yeah, they're soft.
Because a woman can set you off with one word.
And they don't want that work.
And they don't want to do the work. Right. So soft. And then let's put it like this. A lot of our women are overly strong, which, by the way, is even more triggering for a soft man.
I think we're all bruised. We all have a certain level of dysfunction.
We have bruises.
But there are a lot of, this is my layman opinion, they're very dysfunctional. So
let me continue real quick. So what Dr. Frances Cress Wessling says in the ISIS Papers and in many of her speeches is that this has been set up. Like this is by design. And I really want people to hear what I'm saying. This is by design because when you think about characteristically, right, let's kind of take out the new age way of being with gender and gender fluidity. And let's keep this simple. All right. You have a man, you have a woman, you have a boy, you have a girl, and then before a child is born, before technology, in terms of life, when you didn't know what the child was, you call that the baby. And what Dr. Frances Cress Wessling says is that when you think of the man, like who is in charge, it doesn't leave a lot of room for a black man in our society.
Got it.
Right? Because we're talking about who has absolute power. Right away, what comes to mind, I don't even want to say it, right? Because it's already subconsciously there. You all know what I'm talking about. The man. So she says the man is, in many ways, the character head, which is why in other communities they can marry so easily. The structure is already there. Nothing's pushing against that structure.
Yeah.
So then you have the woman, the girl, the boy, and in the broken homes, so think about the war on drugs in the late 70s and 80s, black men being taken from the home, whether it's due to jail, due to drugs, the list goes on, due to crime as a consequence of all those things. You had boys who weren't even referred to as boys, catch my drift, because, according to Dr. Wessling, that's my baby.
Yeah, that's why, and I'm about to say it, that's why even on social media, as we are broadcasting on social media, whenever I see a post with someone, particularly a woman, referring to their 13-year-old child, their 21-year-old young man son as my baby, I just keep on scrolling. But
we have to look at it that this is part of the insidious programming of white supremacy.
Yeah.
And this is like, so as we go, like as we make the case for marriage, I want people to really understand that it's been designed for our community in particular, for our, like aimed at our community in particular. There's no other community with this issue, by the way, because, I mean, perfect example. In the one of the businesses I'm in, there's the Indian community, young Indian males coming to us all the time to rent high-end cars for their weddings.
Right.
Right?
We rent them for prom.
We went them for prom.
I just kept on scrolling. I didn't say anything this year about prom.
We went them for prom. Almost. So here's the big difference, right?
Yes.
Middle Eastern culture, they're coming to our business for high-end cars for their weddings. African Americans and blacks are coming to us for high-end cars for their children's prom or for their my baby has to look good.
Yes.
And I'm just saying, so again, there's a programming taking place. So we already know we've been programmed to consume.
Yeah. And we
Right.
don't even see that dysfunction.
Yeah.
We
yeah.
just laugh it off, no big deal.
We celebrate it.
So most kids' prom is their wedding because most of them will never be married.
That's the
So
biggest.
that's the thing. So they're not promoting the marriage. They're not talking about union or relationships, but we're talking about prom. We're renting cars, dress, wedding gowns. Those are wedding gowns.
Those are wedding
young
gowns.
girls are
Yeah,
wearing.
and tuxedos.
Are we talking about the relationship? How about Latin community, quinceañera? Are we talking about a bar mitzvah? No. Black people's quinceañera and bar mitzvah is prom.
It's prom.
Think about that.
Wow. No lessons are being taught.
None.
I mean, for the most part.
None. And then call them my baby, and you know what most children are doing after prom. They're drinking, they're getting high, they're having sex, and you're talking about my baby.
And by the way, I set you up for that. Like
Yes.
I just laid the red carpet.
Yeah. I gave you the car, I gave you the money, I gave you the expose your breast out for young girls. No big deal. But then they want to talk about why are we not getting married? Well, you gave her away when she was 17 for a prom.
Wow.
So why would that young man marry her at 25 when he had her at 17? It doesn't make sense.
And don't let her go on 2 proms.
Yes.
Okay. So now we see that there's something at play here. Okay. So in our community, we in some ways we get really excited about and not to say prom is wrong.
No,
right?
it's not wrong.
But we get really, really excited sometimes about the wrong things. It's not that it's wrong, but I mean,
it's its role in our community
The
and the
role.
lack of that is wrong.
exactly. Okay. Whereas we look in other communities, Middle Eastern communities, Indian communities, Asian communities, and I mean, marriage is. Let me tell you something. I remember when I was at U.S. Cellular years ago, and there was a Filipino community at the job. They used to play these flag football games, male and female, and I would hang out with them. Do you know, one by one, I'm in my 20s now, late 20s, one by one, each of them started to get married. Bop, bop, right, within their community. Each of them started to get married. By the way, still married to this day.
Right.
Like, all of them except for one couple,
Right.
who, by the way, was, she married interracially. All right?
Wow.
So except for that couple, all of them are still married. And it seemed very normal for them. Very normal for them. And it was planned out. Even sometimes the career. Oh, she's going to be a nurse because we know, like, economically, she'll always have a job while I go over here and explore this opportunity. Mm-hmm. So it's very strategic as well, right? And by the way, if his economic exploration plays out, I don't have to be a nurse anymore.
Right.
So very strategic, very thoughtful. So you look across all these communities, this is what's going on. And in our community,
Can I jump in right there,
please.
though? One of the, and I know we'll get to this at some point, you'll ask me this direct question, but it came up. one of the things that I'm mindful of, and I was mindful of going into my marriage, and yes, I was married after the age of 35, actually, after the age of 40.
Both of us.
Which helps for me, 40. And is that I understood that I had to be playing a game in my marriage. I think, and if you're not playing a game in your marriage, then you're just leaving the room. There's nothing to look forward to.
So can we hold that? Because
Okay.
I see where you're going.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm making a note.
I got it.
Playing a game because, and by the way, he doesn't mean like playing games.
No.
But you're referring to your big game.
Yeah, I'm always
Yeah.
playing a game.
Yep. Well, we all are. Some of us don't realize it.
Yes.
Yeah, some of us don't. Or some of us do realize it. We just don't want to admit that we're playing a game because our score is not so high.
Right. Yeah.
So, it was somebody else's fault. All right, so because I really want to keep with this theme right now of we have to understand that the powers that be, as much as we talk about the powers that be and how we want to operate outside those powers and liberate ourselves, liberate our community, but we're playing right into their hand with how we think about and conceptualize marriage. Mm-hmm. And I just want to hit that before we come to the top of the hour because we'll lay out the rest of the case for marriage, but I think it's really important that we see that a lot of this is by design. It's not, what are your thoughts on that? Am I way off here?
We are aware of what took place during the slave trade and during slavery. We understood that they understood that, separation was important. It was integral to their ability to exact power, right? And to maintain control and, acquiesce, to make certain that we acquiesce. So we understand that. Okay, I'm past that at this point.
Okay.
I think we understand that.
Do we really?
We
you
don't.
understand it.
No, we
you
don't
understand
that.
it.
No, I'm saying we don't really understand it.
Okay.
But I'm saying we know it exists. But we have not internalized its impact generally.
So what I hear you saying is that me, Linal Harris, I haven't looked for the impact of that in myself.
Yeah. But Linal, I think the impact is greater than that. I think the impact of that happened I think that showed itself in our grandparents and our parents.
In what way?
The dysfunction.
Oh, the dysfunction, yeah. So now I'm afraid.
Yeah, so I'm saying I think the slavery hit the 50s, 60s, 70s, 40s in the dysfunction. I think slavery was why your daddy was drinking.
Yeah.
And I think slavery was like why your granddaddy beat your grandmama.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff we don't talk about. Granddaddy used to beat grandmama, and then your daddy used to beat your mama.
But there's a why. There's a why because he got slapped by a white man in the street.
This is what I'm saying. And he was called boy. So when he got home, he demanded respect from your mama.
And she said one thing wrong,
and then
he let the rage out on her.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so that dysfunction of the 40s, 50s, 60s, I think layperson passed to us. And now our dysfunction is I don't want to be married. I don't see the benefit. Women, I want control. Without saying I want control, they want it all.
But herein lies the problem. Because I don't want any of those things, but I have children.
Correct. And that's their dysfunction. And that's her dysfunction. See, that's our dysfunction showing itself. You don't want a man and you don't want to be married, but you have a child. How did that happen?
Now, it's okay for us to have child after child out of wedlock.
Yeah, that's okay. No stigma. Almost no stigma. Matter of fact,
in our community,
we celebrate it.
Oh, yeah, now, yeah. I remember before, you'd be like, so-and-so had a baby.
Man.
There was no baby
She's
shower.
pregnant.
There's not. She was, because she was hid away.
Correct. Might send her away. Send her down south to have the baby come back. Like,
yeah.
It didn't work out between me and the father.
Right. That's little cousin so-and-so.
Yes.
You'd be like, but who's child? Who? You don't even know it's her child.
And hold on. Here's the problem. We can't even talk about it. If we talk about it, now we're talking about her. We're shaming a baby.
Right.
And that's also part of the dysfunction, but it's also evidence of the trauma.
Yeah.
We're so triggered. We're triggered by truth.
Oh, big time. We don't want to hear the truth.
No, but let me just say truth. I already know I'm dysfunctional.
Well, we all are.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I knew I grew up in some dysfunction.
Right.
I already know the naker in me. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
I'm managing it. I'm in a 12-step program for dysfunction.
Me too.
In my marriage.
Right.
But I'm conscious of it.
Right,
And I'll tell
right,
my wife,
right.
listen, you know? Yes. But I have to manage it.
Yeah. And then she has her own dysfunction.
Yes. But check this out. And then I look across the table and I see her dysfunction.
Right.
And I'm
Likewise.
I'm like, oh, Lord.
So
Yes.
to this point, and so somebody might be listening to this and say, well, why be married? And that's why be married. What you just said right there is why be married, because there's nothing that brings out the truth in who I am.
Yeah.
Like being fully committed to someone else where I can see their truth too.
Yeah.
And now we both are in this life development plan together.
Correct.
Called marriage.
Yeah. I think that's why the most successful people are married.
Hands down.
List your top 10 successful people. And I guarantee 8 or 9 out of 10 are married. And even if they get divorced, they'll get remarried.
Interesting. Because they understand that at the very core of this institution called marriage, this thing that so many people are afraid of, that there's an opportunity to blossom in ways
correct
that you will never blossom otherwise.
Yeah. So the soft man, he doesn't want resistance. So when that woman requires that he pay the bills, he doesn't want that type of pressure. When she requires that he come home at night and not run the streets and that he has some dominion over his loins, he doesn't want that type of pressure.
And that's the kind of pressure that will help him reach his biggest goals and wildest dreams.
Correct. And today's woman doesn't want that pressure. She doesn't want that pressure of, hey, I'm hungry. When I leave the show, I expect some food when I walk through the door. I don't have to say it this way, but if I walk through the door and there's no food,
or at least a plan,
you have to answer some questions.
Right. Like,
today's woman doesn't even want to. No. She doesn't even want to answer the question of why is there no food? Well,
but isn't that a reasonable in many ways compromise for you providing and your protection?
No, because she's trauma, and trauma's not reasonable. Trauma doesn't look at what it receives. Trauma only looks at what is taken from them. Trauma only needs to be fed. It's selfish.
Got it. So then I think that before we even go into the top of the hour, I think it's safe to say that we probably all need therapy.
For sure.
And because, by the way,
for sure,
just to kind of put this out here, what shifted my entire way of thinking about the institution of marriage was getting my trauma healed. When my trauma was healed through therapy, I saw relationship completely different. I saw marriage completely different. And what shifted for me was I could actually see myself in it.
Yeah.
But, by the way, I had become better acquainted with myself and emotionally healed from all the emotional scars and wounds and things that I saw, whether my parents' separation, their divorce, being cheated on by my very first girlfriend. And I mean, you go down the line of things, right? All those things, now that I'm healed, I can actually function, number one, function better with myself, and actually, in many ways, conceive the possibility of functioning in relationship with someone else.
Right. I know. That's big. To get there is a lifetime. By the time you get there, Linal, you're half dead.
Well, I mean, it was for me like 32, 34.
Yeah, you did. You were phenomenal. In our community, that was extraordinary, as you well know.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah, my wife.
But hold on, Linal, like I always say, and I'd say to my wife, and people heard me say that, Linal, it took all of who Linal Harris is to make it to at 32. When I just told you, when I was in law school, they were 21, 22. And the best of our best, the most present, alpha man, successful man, intelligent man, Linal Harris. It took him to 32. So what does the average brother, what chance does he have?
So I'm gonna go back to Dr. Frances Cressy Wessling. But what she says is she doesn't believe that in the black community we should be married before the age of 35.
I'm not mad.
And once we get married, her recommendation is that we have no more than 2 children.
Still not mad.
Because she says that in this society, in America in particular, by the way, these are her words, but in society in particular, because we are in this American society, we are rowing upstream, and you want to make sure that the canoe is light.
Yeah.
And that you have some experience if you invite other people into your canoe.
Yeah.
And that's basically how she lays it out. Now, I didn't know this before I got married at 38, but when I look back, I think, wow, And I think that's one, I do believe that getting therapy, getting that level of support, continual self-development, not being in denial about my dysfunction is part of what my dysfunction and the dysfunction I grew up in.
Right.
Is part of why I'm in a successful marriage today.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot when I say it. That's a lot. So then is it safe to say that this might be why so many of us avoid marriage then?
Absolutely.
Because we're avoiding, is another way of saying it, we are avoiding our own healing?
Yeah, we don't even know that we need healing.
We don't know that we need healing.
No. We have no idea of the depth of it.
So, we got 3 minutes. And when we come back, we're going to shift it to the actual case.
All right, let's do it.
So one of the things that, and I want to start with this concept of, I want people to hear, and this is why I stopped you, because I already knew. I'm like, all right, I see where Fenton's going. But this concept of playing a big game.
Yeah.
You got married because you realized in the game that you were playing that this was going to be essential.
Yes.
And so we can even share our stories. I got married because I began to realize in the game I wanted to play that the only way to really hit the dream was to have some help and to get married.
Oh, yeah, stop right there. I just turned host. See, men don't get that they need help, and they don't understand the value and the benefit of a woman by their side helping them.
We all need help.
They don't even understand. And listen, even if she's specifically, directly does not give you the assistance that you need, brothers, hear what I'm telling you. The structure or the institution will provide the framework in which you can be your best self. Mm-hmm. So you don't even need her to be perfect. You just need her to be a person there who's going to provide some accountability and structure to your life so you can be more perfect.
Whew. And by the way, the accountability that she provides is going to come out of your mouth because she's going to repeat to you the things that you said you were going to do.
Yes. Can I flip it on the ladies?
Go ahead.
Same thing, ladies. The resistance that you get from that man, he doesn't have to be perfect. You just need a man who's going to provide a framework and a system in which you can grow. And oftentimes the benefit or the love that you should have, not just for that man, but for the institution, is going to come from your personal growth. It's not a question of what he does for you. It's a question of what the system and him being part of the system assists you in becoming.
Call your boys and let them know that Ernest Fenton and Linal Harris are about to cover why we believe men are missing the mark when they avoid marriage.
I try to tell them.
You are missing the mark. So we just talked about something I think that's compelling, and I want to get to the big game. But before we do that, I was sharing over the break how last week I had these gentlemen in the studio. So most of the audience knows Matt Sapala. Matt Sapala's married. And if Massapal is listening, he will admit that he did not hit his real financial stride and success in that industry until he brought Sheena into his life, his wife, right? Then I had these 3 other men. And each and every one of them shared their story about how they became high value men. We would say high value, making over $250,000 a year, okay? and each of them shared how they became high-value men, and each one of them shared specific detailed stories about how their wife, whether she was fiance or girlfriend at the time, made a significant difference in their success.
Yeah.
So that's 4 men outside of me and you. Then you have you and I. So 6 men in 2 weeks who are saying that, by the way, are quote unquote, this new term, high value men, saying the women in their lives have supported them in, one, reaching their dreams. I think about myself, right? Wanted to leave corporate America, step out. By the way, I did that post-marriage. Got married in 2015. And then after being married and having the support, the systemic support of marriage and a wife, finding the courage to say, I can do this.
And wouldn't you think it would be high-value men who could most afford not to be married? Wouldn't you think it'd be the opposite?
For them, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm like, okay, I can pay all my bills by myself. I don't need any help.
I could have a housekeeper and a cook.
For sure.
To do all those things.
We have that anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's where we are now. Yeah. Right? It's like, why you doing that, babe? Don't do that.
Right.
I don't think women get that either.
Right. You get less work.
You get less work
if you marry
over time.
well.
Yeah, if you marry well, less work over time. Like, why are you doing that? Stop doing that.
Yeah.
Let's hire somebody.
You get to retire early.
Exactly.
Yeah, you would think. But now that I think about it, I think, though, you don't really get the value of a woman if you're not getting the value from yourself.
There you go.
So I think it is actually the quote unquote, and I hate to put it this way. Well, I won't. I will. I just let it out. Low value men, underperforming men, and I'm not saying objectively speaking. I'm saying subjectively speaking, you are underperforming, not in comparison.
Right. But let's make the distinction though between, because we talked about men with character, because these 3 men, right? So men with character for the sisters, so they understand that there's a difference between what we're talking about here, right, and a man who is like, he hasn't figured it out. Maybe he needs some help, some support, mentorship, but he's got character. I really want to make that distinction.
I made that post about character a couple of days ago. I said, well, and I don't. Okay, but go ahead. I would like to hear your distinction.
No, that is my distinction.
Okay. So basically, am I hearing you right here? You're saying, okay, looking at men who have character. He may not have all the He may not have all the bells and the whistles that go along with success, but he has the fundamental building blocks.
He has the foundation is there.
I don't know how to go off. I can't stop myself from going off course. Bring me back.
So share what you were sharing, because by the way, a man with character, if he is not performing to the level of that character, is still beneath his potential.
But here's the problem. The trauma that exists in our community and the dysfunction, specifically, this is a layperson speaking, my opinion and perception, so many women, trauma, dysfunction, they don't date character.
No, they don't.
They date, he's cute.
Yeah.
They date, he has this right now. There's not a premium on a man who gets up every day and makes it to work. Hold on. Ladies, does he get to work on time? Because that's your guy.
Yeah, but by the way, he can't dress, Attorney Fenton. He wears Bobos every day.
But does he?
He's a lame.
But does he wash his clothes, folds them up, and puts them in his dresser drawer? You see what I'm saying? We're so dysfunctional and traumatized. We don't even know the signs of women. Don't even know the signs of a good man.
Because, I want a roughneck. No, I gotta have a roughneck.
Yeah, they look at it as a 6-pack. Okay, that's important. That is important. Does he eat well? Does he exercise? Does he take care of his body? Yes. But does he make it to work on time? Does he fold his clothes? Is his trunk of his car clean and organized? When he tells you he'll be there at 12, is he there at 11:45 a.m.? Because that's your guy.
That's your guy right there.
Not the guy calling you on the phone, baby. I'm sorry. Something just came up. Me and the guys, we still out. I got to catch you later.
Fenton, I'm not attracted to him.
Of course not. Your trauma won't allow you to be attracted to what you need. Your trauma has you attracted to what you want, what you don't need.
So what you're saying is the reason why they can't get with the men with character who is quote unquote lame is because
they can't identify with them because they're traumatized, because they're dysfunctional. So they're looking for dysfunction. So I might date the dope dealer. I might date the guy with 3 baby mamas. But I might date the guy pen paling him from prison. And I'm being extreme, but am I?
No, you're not. You're dead on. You are dead on. You're like, it's some folks mad at you right now because you just got all in their business.
Yeah. And we're talking good girls.
Yeah. Church girls.
Yes.
Let's lay the table. Because at this point I know you. You're doing well financially. You're building multiple businesses. Everything, in terms of what people want is going for you. For the most part, you can woo almost any woman you want, unless she has some level of dysfunction. Like, nah, he ain't.
Yeah, but stop. But that's what's strange about it. I promise you, it's easier to quote unquote. Sometimes it's not you have good guys who can't get the girl.
True.
Because
we're not talking about them. We're talking about you.
Gotcha. Move it.
We're talking about you. So why would you get married? Because by the way, there are some men listening right now who have options. And they're listening like, give me the case, sir. Give me the case.
Okay,
I got options.
Case. Let's get straight to the case.
I got options. Why?
First off, I'm going to dispel this myth of all these damn options that you have.
Okay.
And then don't let me forget, because I'm going off. Please bring me back why I got married.
Let's talk about it.
First off, you don't have all those options because your girl, it's only one of her. And that's the first mistake. That's the first mistake that men make. That's the first mistake that women make. That's the mistake that I made.
But they're piecing what they're doing is they're taking a shortcut and they're trying to piece together with multiple people the one.
And then they try to blame it on the pool. They try to blame it on all women. They try to blame it on all men.
Right.
No, your discernment was off. Your radar was off. You didn't understand how to search. I thought when I woke up at 35, because that was my deadline, I said if I don't have children by 35, I'm not having children. I want to be married by 35, then maybe I'll spin it over. When I woke up at 35, I actively went on a search for my wife. Actively at 35. So I was prospecting everybody, but you get my point.
Yeah. No, but you're looking.
I'm prospecting.
I remember.
If the door opened, I'd look.
Yeah, you're evaluating.
I'm evaluating.
Yeah.
But Linal, I thought she'd just fall out the sky and I'd be married within 12 months of the moment I said.
I thought the same thing.
And Linal, 7 years later, 8 years later, with a whole lot of turmoil, messing up, because I thought that she was replaceable, and she's not. So I'm telling you, you got to start early because she ain't that easy to find. And then you also have to have yourself together. So if you think you're just going to wake up one day and she's going to magically appear, you are wrong. And the same for ladies.
Yeah.
You've been messing around. That's why I tell these ladies, stop messing around with guys who don't meet the criteria. It is no such thing as we're just dating. It's no such thing as ain't no harm. There is harm.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're wasting time.
Well, and you could be redirecting the one.
Yes.
You could be redirecting the one.
Yes.
Because, oh, wow, she occurs like she may align with what I've been looking for, but I see her with him all the time.
Right.
And that's not even like, well, that's not even serious.
Correct.
But because I'm serious, that's serious enough.
Right.
I don't want it.
They call that you had a boyfriend or you had a sleepover guy in your husband's space. And that's the mistake I see, I think, layperson, that a lot of people are making, men and women. Right,
putting the wrong person.
Yeah,
in
you
that
got
space.
your boyfriend sleeping on your husband's side of the bed.
So then, what I'm hearing is, because we got to go back to how this works. I'm sending myself subconsciously the wrong message.
Correct.
I'm sending the universe the wrong message. And spiritually, I'm getting the wrong message. And I'm wondering why.
It's not working.
It's not working.
So I was supposed to go through that. I had to, because if I would have woke up and it happened that easy, I would be terrible. I'd probably be divorced, because then I could not appreciate her to the extent that I do. Okay, so why me? Why marriage?
Why marriage?
Because to your words, my words as well, I knew that I could never be my highest and best self without a woman by my side. Because I understood, and I don't know how, I'll thank my mother and my father, I must say that. I knew that I needed to live and be the greater me, inspired by someone other than me. Because my inspiration, my desire for self had already hit its ceiling. I don't need to make any more money, and I'm not just saying money is the barometer, but as an example, I don't need to work hard or make any more money just for me. I don't need to stay in better health just for me. In fact, I may not even have the desire to extend my life just for me.
Which, by the way, is another benefit of marriage. Men who are married live longer.
I think, and that's part of the reason.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't take care of me as well as I would without the assistance of someone else.
Well, let's be clear. Our wives probably take better care of us than we do.
Yeah.
I mean,
in many regards.
Yeah, because they'll check. Like, you say, is that still hurting? Why haven't you gone to the doctor? Go to the doctor.
Yeah.
So those are things that our women do for us that sometimes we don't do for ourselves.
My wife makes all of my appointments. I have no idea. See? I don't know where to begin. I do not know where to begin to make a dentist appointment, a dental appointment, or a medical appointment. She handles all of that. That takes the burden away. From a professional standpoint, that allows me then to focus on my business. I'm not, when I leave today, I don't have to think about, when is my next appointment? She just places it on the calendar. Then she'll call my office and tell my paralegal to put it on my calendar. I don't even know. My paralegal will be like, hey, you have a dentist appointment tomorrow.
And everything is booked around that the way it's supposed to be.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the other reason I got married, Linal. Here's the other one. Because this is my confession. Wife, turn this off. Here's my confession. Because I started to value myself. And I started asking myself, why would a person as valuable as me, so precious as me, share myself with a random woman who does not appreciate me? I don't want to be around anybody. I'm not sharing myself with women. So I got to a point in my life, I wouldn't even talk to you. If you're not a valuable person, if you don't know who I am, if you don't see my spirit, you can't be with me. I don't want to sleep with you. I don't want to have conversations with you. I don't want to hang out with you. I don't care how fine you are, how fly you are. I don't care about any of that. So I was like, I am wasting my quote unquote pearls. I'm wasting all of my value as a man with randoms.
And you're a man.
And I'm a man? What type of man are you? What type of man are you?
But to that point, you're a man that now is clearly, like, you're clear on your value.
Yes.
Spreading ourselves thin, conquering women is seen as, oh man, he killing it. He's getting them. This, that, and the other. Let me tell you something. That might be cute in your 20s.
Yeah.
We might look the other way in your 30s.
40s, you start looking like a buffoon.
You look like a clown in your 40s and 50s.
Hold on. You look like a clown in the eyes of someone who's wise, who's conscious.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
Like, even going into a job interview at that point without your ring on, and they're like, wait a second.
Who is this dude? Is he stable?
Right. Well, they can tell by how you dress, by the way. They can tell at that point by how you're dressed. Like, and women know. Women are shaking their heads right now saying, and by the way, Finn, you know how to dress yourself. But a lot of brothers don't.
Correct. Oh, right? I get your point. Right. Gotcha.
Okay.
They didn't have a wife at home. That's a whole nother part.
Hey, man, believe me, I've seen the brother come in with the orange suit for an interview in his mid-40s, and I'm thinking, your wife wouldn't have let you do that, but you're not married.
Or she's Jada.
Oh, that's a whole nother.
Okay, I'm off.
Yeah,
I'm back.
yeah,
Here
yeah.
you go. Check this out.
Yeah, that's a whole nother
you got to help
back
me out.
tricks.
But
Yeah,
check
let's
this out.
not go there.
But check this out. Check this out. I forgot what I was about to say. About
You think?
here's the deal, ladies. No,
look good.
let me just expound on this one last point. If a man post 35, post 40, if within his first 10 moves is to get you in bed, if he's talking about sex, get rid of him.
Yeah.
Get rid of him. But here's the trauma and the dysfunction of the woman.
What was the limit you put on the age?
I will
Past
give
40?
you 35, for sure 40.
Okay. 35.
35 to 40 is gray. It's gray. You can get a little.
But post 40?
Post 40, if his first 10 moves is about sex or how your sexual prowess or anything like that.
He's a boy.
Get rid of
Yeah,
him.
get
But
rid
here's
of
the
him.
problem.
Yeah.
But women are operating in that space too.
Many of them.
But that's a whole nother subject, but not. Because any man who's really ready, that's not his highest priority, is not to get in your pants.
Hey, and let me tell you this. For the women who are operating from that space, like, well, I got to get mine, you get passed over. Because when I was looking, when I got serious about marriage, I can't tell you how many times I got invited up late at night after the date for coffee. Oh, you want to come up? And I'm so past that right now. I'm looking for Mrs. Right, and you just invited me up. Now, I kind of knew at the date you weren't it, but at this point, I'm good.
The converse is true.
I'm good.
But the converse is true. Mm-hmm. And that's the enlightenment that I had. And I never thought as a man that I would have this level of enlightenment. And I don't think I've never heard this conversation about a man growing to the point where he understands his value. And he gets that he's devaluing himself by allowing random women in his bed.
But you're deluding yourself.
Or even in his presence.
Yep, there you go.
I don't want I don't want a basic chick in my presence as a single man. I got to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because what happens is it starts to grieve you. I don't care how good she looked. If she was basic, like, it's like, I just need, I need space. I can't stand right here. I can't listen to this. That's how it felt. This is bad.
Yeah. And here's
so I want you to get to the game, though. You mentioned playing a game and how marriage supported your game. And so we understand why you get married, why you got married. Why would you say marriage supported your game?
Because
your game of life.
Because marriage and my wife specifically provide the inspiration and part of the why that I go out to perform the way that I do. I would not be working the way that I work, not that I work hard per se. I do and I don't.
I'm with you.
Without my wife. I would have no incentive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's an incentive for me. And I'm going to tell you a story, not a long story, very quick. I was doing a project. It was a real estate project, let's say 5 years ago. And I came home and I told my wife, always asks, and she doesn't ask me questions much about outside stuff. And she was like, well, how long is it going to take you? And I was like, we should be done, let's say in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months pass, 9 months pass. It's not done. I'm losing it with the contractor, right? And I remember having this conversation with the contractor. I'm like, sir, this is what you don't understand. I told my wife that we'd be done in 3 or 4 months. Not that we're going to lose money. Not that we need the money. Not that she's even thinking like that. The point is that I told my wife that we'd be done in 3 or 4 months, and it's not done. So even that.
Yeah. There's a healthy tension.
Yes.
There's a healthy tension.
It's an accountability.
An accountability.
That she's providing, that she doesn't even know she's providing. It puts fire under me.
I like that. So a lot of the reasons you got married are the reasons I got married. And for me, I really began to see, especially as I was on my self-development journey, that this whole random movement wasn't it. And I also began to see how it was deluding me emotionally, mentally, spiritually. But here's the other piece. I also began to see how who was once the hunter was now the hunted.
Right.
And so in this game I had been playing in my 20s, in my early 30s, I realized that, no, the game is switched. And unless you get serious about relationship, and thank God I had gone through therapy, so I had the capacity. But unless you get serious about relationship, you're going to lose this game. And at that point in my life, 20% of my salary, a woman could stop working.
Right.
She could be done. She'd be like, oh, I'm having his baby. I'm retiring. Because all she had to do is care for that child.
Right.
And when that started to hit, like the conversations in the barbershop about the child support, and these things began to hit.
Right.
And I realized that in some ways I was conducting myself foolishly. Like as I listened to those conversations, I'm conducting myself foolishly. I just started to reel it in. I'm like, nah, this ain't it.
Linal, how many children did you have before you got married?
Zero.
Yeah, that's another thing. And I'm not saying, because we all can make mistakes. I understand one mistake.
Yeah. Which got by God's grace, by the way. By God's grace.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So let me be clear. I'm not a prude.
Right.
Listen, I understand one mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was 18, I was 19, I was 20. I made a mistake. We had a child. I understand that. I might even give you 2. We got But when these dudes are walking around with 3, 4, when you get to 3, that's not a mistake. These dudes got 3, 4, 5 kids. And guess what?
And each one got a mama.
And guess what? Women are excusing it. But they won't excuse, I don't like the way he dresses. They will not excuse Linal. He's too short. They will not excuse his belly is a little bit too large. But they will excuse a guy.
They lack vision. You lack vision.
You understand what I'm trying to tell you?
You lack vision.
You're talking about trauma.
Yeah.
You're talking about dysfunction.
That's dysfunctional. Yeah. I mean, when you put it that way and we really take a look at what's happening in these streets.
He doesn't have a car.
Right.
He doesn't make enough money.
It's like
all of those can be fixed. Those 3, 4 kids he has can't be fixed.
And by the way, that's a 20+ year commitment that you're walking into. And get this, he always has an out for why you're not number one. Always. Like, how you gonna fight that? Well, what you doing tonight? I got to get my son.
Oh, he's a good daddy. Matter of fact, he gets credit. He takes care of his kids.
Like,
hold on, not the guy who doesn't have any children. It's starting to turn around now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he doesn't have any kids? I'm hearing it more and more.
Right.
I'm not saying penalize a brother because he has one child or a sister because she has 1 or 2 kids. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But I'm talking about there's some reckless behavior in these streets.
And you have to see it's a matter of character. Yeah. Like his character is on his sleeve.
Yeah.
He's got the bars on his shoulder. Like, you don't believe it? That's what I see you pointing to.
Correct.
Like, you don't believe it?
Correct.
And so, yeah, I mean, so you're absolutely right. So no, zero children, and understanding the gravity, because the way I look at it is, if I have a child, I'm going to be vested.
Right.
So now that I'm looking at this again, I'm 32, 34 years old. I'm like, if I have a child, I'm going to be vested, which means I need to start being thoughtful about who I lay with, because that can change my entire life. But then no, more so than thoughtful, I don't want to lay with random people. No, more so than not wanting to lay with random people, I want to be in love with the woman who I am spiritually connected with, physically connected with, mentally connected with, and emotionally connected with, that if she gets pregnant, I'm actually excited and happy about it. Right. So my reason for marriage was peace.
Another reason I got married, because I thought it was selfish of me not to be a blessing to someone else. I think.
So let's get into that.
I was selfish.
I like that. Well, but there's a downside to that selfishness, because I already know, Attorney Fenton, that you went on some trips all by yourself where you're like,
I'm also, yeah. That's micro.
This could be better.
That's sub-selfish.
Right. This could be better.
Well, that too.
Right.
That too.
Yeah.
That too.
This could be better with someone.
That too.
Because that's how. Yeah. For me, it was like, this is cool, but
yeah,
this could be better.
But truly, and I'll give this to ladies, right? Also to fellas, but more specific to ladies. I think in having the conversation, like, are you hearing, words or acts, affirmations, if you will, that suggest or say that he's thinking about someone other than himself? Like, I was like, it's very selfish of me to have the knowledge, the gifts that I have, and not share them with someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when it really clicked for me. And that's what people who watching me on social media, and they're like, here, what he does for his wife. And I'm not perfect. Lord, ask my wife. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, but what you do see of me, what I do provide that may be, noble, if you will, or of value in a relationship, it's because I always said I want to be able to share myself with someone, and I want to bless someone, because I can't. It doesn't help. A lot of it doesn't help me.
And the reciprocal piece that you shared earlier, and how she blesses you.
Yes.
And I that's the piece. That was the piece for me. And in many ways, as I was looking for my wife, how I evaluated what would be something I got serious about and what wouldn't be, is because here's the thing. So you brought a certain level of value that you wanted to give your wife, but part of, correct me if I'm wrong, part of what qualified her is her willingness to receive it.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Her willingness to receive it. And it's vice, because what she provides you, you have to be willing to receive. This is one of the reasons I believe sex in marriage is reciprocal. Like, so I give my seed to my wife, she gives her energy to me, I don't lose a thing. But what a lot of men, again, the case for marriage, what a lot of men don't realize is that you're giving your chi away.
Yeah,
you're trying to figure out why you haven't hit that certain level in your business, but Attorney Fenton has. Linal Harris has.
I never even thought about it like that.
Oh, you're giving your chi away.
No, I knew giving your chi away. I understood it, but I couldn't conceptualize it until just now. So as an example, like, okay, if you have sex with a random woman, you give away that energy. You're not up early. Like, you're sleeping in, you're a little lethargic. You're not going to work out the same. It was leg day.
Nope.
I can't do leg day today
now
because I gave my energy away last night.
But think about making love to your wife.
But hold on. That same woman you just did all those tricks with last night on a Friday night till 1, 2 in the morning, look at the cost of that to you on the next day. She's going to walk out the door.
She got all your energy, bro.
She has all your energy. She ain't making you breakfast. She ain't bringing you a cup of coffee. She just took it away. But if you make love to your wife, if you give her that energy, if you create that connection with her, she's going to wake up the next morning and make you breakfast.
But think about this. She's going to
wash the sheets.
How many times have you made love at night and got up and worked out the next morning?
Yeah.
But think about the difference. See, this is what men aren't. If you've never been married, you don't understand the energy drain.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about. Like, we're grown. Men, when you are married, you can give your physical, emotional, and spiritual chi to your wife.
And still go make it happen.
And get it back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, immediately.
Yeah.
Because it's reciprocal.
Yeah.
This
She's
is
going to
spiritual,
give it back.
man. This is, right? So I can get up and hoop in the morning, hit the weights in the morning with the same vigor and ferocity that I normally do. That if I had given that to a random woman who parted ways with me, it's gone, and I feel the energy drain.
And the same is, we can't even begin with women.
Oh, yeah.
What you're giving away. It's astounding.
Yeah.
It's astounding.
Yeah, well, let's just say if that's what a man goes through, what is a woman going through, especially if, by the way, because I'm giving energy, right? My positive energy, all the things that I bring. But what if this man is wreaking confusion? What did he just give you?
Right.
What if he's battling, we were talking about this earlier, what if he's battling with his mental health?
Right.
What did he just give you? What if he's battling demonic urges?
Yeah.
What did he just give you?
Yeah.
Like all the trauma, all the unhealed, and by the way, his whole sexual past. We didn't even talk about disease. What did he just give you?
Yeah, yeah.
Again, this is the case for marriage.
And imagine, like 50% of us, we're just out there forever. Like whoever imagined that we'd be single at 40, let alone 35, 40, 50? There are 50, 55-year-old men out there still with 3 girlfriends. Do you know how crazy that is?
It's clown behavior.
It's crazy.
Because here's the thing, like that man, if you're listening, I'm telling you, I'm asserting for you that you have no vision. You have no vision because you are, you know how they say over the hill?
Yeah. You don't want to admit it.
But here's the thing. It's not even about admitting it. It's about you've hit the apex in your physical journey at this point in your life, which means that things are about to start breaking down. And because you've made no investment in a woman who, by the way, are natural nurturers and caretakers, you're setting yourself up to be alone at the most vulnerable period of your life because you were unwilling to make an investment in one woman when you had something to give.
Yeah. One young lady, Monica, said because they like a variety of sexual partners. I don't believe that's true.
No.
That's not true, Monica.
No.
That's a pretext.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me tell you, at 50, you about had them all. I don't want to go there with y'all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how much can you have?
Well, and here's the thing: you can never have it all,
and you can never have it all.
You can never have it all.
And to the extent that there is benefit and value and variety, I get it. I promise you, it's not just what's in between the legs. The variety that he's seeking is something different than the sex. The variety he's seeking is that he can go to your house when he's sad because you're a nurturer. He can go over her house because she's wild and he wants to have fun. He can go. You get my point.
Yep.
It ain't just
and
the
then
sex.
He travels with so-and-so.
He travels with this one and she likes to swing. It's not that. He's just filling holes and not your hole. He's just filling holes in him.
In him. And by the way, none of them feel him completely.
Correct. And let me just tell you this, ladies. Your stuff ain't that powerful for a 40-plus-year-old man. And for a 50-plus-year-old man, you can beat it.
Yeah.
Y'all overvalue your stuff. I promise you. Because, one, it's cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so many, you've been giving it away. So how valuable can it be?
Been giving it, like literally giving
Literally
giving it away.
85% of women have been giving it away for a lifetime. How valuable could it possibly be? And as a man, we've been getting it for free our entire lives. So how valuable do you think we think your sex is? So this is another misnomer of these women walking around like they got this power between their legs. And you only have the power when you don't open your legs. The moment you open your legs, you've lost your power, ma'am.
He just gave you the secret right there. Like, just know. He just gave you the secret, ladies. This is how men, I can't even begin to tell you how a man thinks and how he operates.
Yeah.
But just know, once you give it up, you've lost.
Especially a man who has options. I hate to break the bad news to you.
Oh, yeah, man with options.
A man with options walks into a room and looks at you and says, I had her twice. Because he can identify 2 other women who you remind him of.
Same physical appearance, same spiritual way of being, the whole nine. He already know.
He already know.
He already know. Well, already know.
So it ain't like, I already had a tall, dark woman. I already had a short, thick, light-skinned woman. I already had an educate. He already knows. He's already had the thrill.
As soon as you start talking. Yeah.
So it ain't that. So lead with something else other than your physical. That's why, again, social media, it kills me with these women and low cut this and legs out. That's not what's appealing.
Well, here's the thing. I'll put it like this, and I've supported in some Instagram influencers, women in particular, But that's the biggest thing. They're like, why can't I get in a relationship? Because most men who want to be in relationship are not trying to be in relationship with something that everybody has access to.
Correct. And you're in the public saying, here I am.
Here I am. Here is all of me. All of me. And you're like, but I ain't let them see the goodies. It's like, well,
might as well.
At this point, why not? And that's how men think.
Might as well.
That's how men think.
I can't imagine playing a big game in life. And most of us are playing relative to, personally, subjectively. Many of us are playing big games, right? Mm-hmm, it's all relative. Mm-hmm. I cannot imagine playing the game that I play in life and having the moments that I have in my life from time to time, which I'll begin to tell people, I run into tough time. Like, I have to solve big problems, if you will.
Right.
I got stuff going on in my life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the benefit of knowing, like, I have the comfort of my wife, we don't have to talk. We don't have to do anything. It's just like when I open the door, there's a body there. There's a warm person there. There's a, loving person there. I lay in the bed. I feel a body. I feel her warmth.
But here's the thing, that you trust.
That I trust.
That you trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you trust.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. And guess what? And I need to back up a bit and bring me back, please. And I won't run us out of time. And it takes us back to the beginning of the conversation. And she doesn't have to be a perfect woman.
She's not.
Listen, she's not.
Yeah,
she's
human. She's human.
When I walk through the door, she's not going to say the perfect thing to me. That's what I had to learn. And that's what I say to women and men.
Yeah.
Women, listen.
Yeah.
When you walk through the door, you might not get the husband when he meets you with, oh, honey, you look so fabulous. I love you. How was your day? That might not be your man. But don't lose the benefit and the value of that when you walk through the door, like the groceries were put up. Don't lose the benefit of like he fixed the sink. See, we're looking for these perfect people.
You're not even putting light bulbs in no more.
You get what I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
But you flick the light and the light came on and you don't even know that the light bulb went out.
You know it was out.
But you're concentrating on he didn't run to the door and embrace you the way that you desire to be embraced. And this is the reason we're losing in marriage.
That's petty.
We don't see the benefits. We don't see the value.
The real value.
Correct.
So I want to get back to some of these benefits that you see as an attorney.
So from a financial standpoint, first off, the people with the money are married.
Say it again.
The people with the money are married. This whole notion I'm about to get single and rich is nonsense. You're lying to yourself. You're kidding yourself. And then you got single folk, and I'm not bashing single people.
So wait a second. The people with the real money
are married, man.
So are you telling me? Because by the way, I got some gentlemen in my life who drive nice cars and got decent homes.
They're broke. They're broke, dude. Let me tell you, you know it too.
He's
Linal.
right though. He's right. He's right.
Linal.
They're broke.
Let me tell you, I was making a lot of money. I'm not making the money that I was making before I was married. I had some years where I made some money. Linal, I had a little money.
I already know.
I didn't have any cash.
I was making major dough. I mean, I was making major money before I got married.
You get my point? It was going right out the door.
A VIP.
Yes, man. It's not a question
bottles.
of how much you make. They say, look, it ain't about how much you cop. It's about how much you keep. And first off, 2 light bills, 2 gas bills, 2 cable bills, 2 mortgages. Now that's 1. So the money that she was spending on a mortgage, cable, and lights, guess what? A wise man and a wise woman understands. Now we can save that money. So your lifestyle is enhanced.
You're not flossing no more.
Your lifestyle is and then you have the incentive to be responsible. And you're not in the streets the way that you were. If I were a single man, I'd be like, man, what am I going to do when I leave here today? I'm making phone calls. Hey, meet me for lunch.
And there's a tab related to that.
That's what I'm saying.
There's a tab
related
to that.
You're driving across town. You're paying for lunch. You have to get the car washed because you're going on a date. None of that. So it's creating a framework. It cuts back on your expenses if you're smart. Think now she's cooking, even if she doesn't cook 5 times a week. If she cooks twice a week or once a week, that's still a savings because I would be eating out every day.
If your Uber eating is still a savings because it's going to one address.
Correct. So it is. Google it. It's not hard to find. Like the people with the real money are married. If you're working together, you can save more. You can do more. And you will be more productive because you're not wasting time on balance out trying to find what a married person already has, which is companionship.
And so here I would like to say, for men in particular who are goal-oriented, and this has been a missing for them, right? This has been a missing. What I noticed in my own life is once I met Pam came into my life, and now, because let's be clear, as men, we do have this physical urge and necessity. That's how we were created.
For sure.
And so if that's not being handled, then
You're distracted.
I'm distracted, right?
Correct.
And some men have enough discipline to sit down and do the work, but that's very few.
Very few.
Very few.
I don't care who you are.
Right.
As a
very
man, I'm
few.
telling you, hold on, let me say it real quick. Man's going to get his urge met.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Okay, we can move on.
So that being said, if that urge for many men surmounts the goal,
Correct.
surmounts the dream.
Yes.
And the major case for marriage that I'm making right now to men, because this appeal wasn't necessary to the ladies, because I get, even working with Love McPherson in the dating gym, women want to be married. They may not know how to be,
Right.
right? Which is what we're working on in the
gotcha.
dating gym, et cetera. But they want to be.
Gotcha.
But it's the men who are like, I don't understand why I would do it, brother.
Gotcha.
The reason you would do it is because it gives you a different level of focus. My business, my finances, everything that I was creating before I got married have exponentially increased post-marriage.
Same.
So
It's
now,
not even close.
So now let's address the financial thing. I don't want to get divorced and she takes half.
Let me tell you the solution. I got the solution to the half, brothers.
Mm-hmm.
First off, if your number is 1 million, make 2 million. That's the solution. Mm-hmm. The solution is,
and by the way, if you get the right woman, she's going to help, and so she's going to deserve it.
Yeah, that's the solution. Whatever you're afraid of losing, whatever you're afraid of not living with, just make sure you have double. So if you get divorced, you know you still got your number. Here's the other part: don't get divorced. Stay committed. You tell me what you go into preparing to lose? You already have a loser's mentality. I didn't go into my marriage preparing to lose. I'm in my marriage like I'm winning.
Mm-hmm. And see, there we go right there. And once, see, that's what for me opened me to marriage. Once I believed I could be successfully married. Like once I was like, you know what? I can do this. Yeah, we're going to have issues. Yeah, you're going to go through periods where the intimacy is not where you want it to be. Yeah, those things will happen. But if my vision and the goals I have are greater than whatever that is that I'm feeling in that moment, and I can stay clear, we will navigate that, we will win through that, and I can be successfully married.
Can I share this one too, last, about this whole divorce thing? That's the pressure that soft men don't want. See, there's nothing perfect. You go into business, you know you can go out of business. Does that stop you from going into business?
Yeah.
You drive fast cars, you know that you can get into an accident and die driving 120 miles an hour on a motorcycle, but we still do it, don't we? But we're so afraid of a woman who's not even looking to divorce you.
Right.
Tell you the dysfunction of your mind, right? That you're concerned about getting divorced.
Well, what that tells me is you're also concerned about your own discipline.
That's what I'm saying.
You're also concerned about your own discipline.
That is really not about the divorce.
Yeah.
It's about your ability to be successful in a relationship. See, and that's the main reason you need the marriage, because back to the beginning of the conversation.
Well, can I put this in?
Yes.
Can I put this in? That's the main reason that man needs purpose before he gets married. It's purpose. Purpose for me is what holds the line. Like that holds the line. My connection with the Creator. I'm gonna be very clear. My connection with the Creator, understanding that He gave me a purpose on this planet, number 2, and that Pam is here to help me fulfill that purpose. And so the one human being that He put on the planet that is down for me and my purpose, why would I ever?
Right.
Why would I ever? And I have the discipline to not.
and you understand, yes, purpose. Yes, because without the purpose, now you should fear marriage.
Yeah,
without
yeah.
purpose.
Without purpose, you
without
should fear,
identity,
yeah.
without your wife. And then the marriage and the institution is designed, brothers, to give you that level of pressure. Don't run away from the pressure. Don't run away from the fear of I might lose half.
That's how diamonds are made.
That's what I'm saying. Want that pressure. I want that pressure.
Want the tension.
I want the tension.
Yeah. At the end of the day, marriage is for the long haul. And the idea, this is the beauty of marriage is this, and I think we can end here, that I get to be me, authentically, raw, and truthful and honest, and Pam can't run away. And she gets to be her.
You're right.
She gets to be her,
can end on that one.
authentically, honestly,
Yeah.
and fully, and I can't run away.
Now deal with it.
And guess what? You can't help but grow.
Yeah, deal with it.
You can't help but grow.
Exactly.
You can't help but get better.
Exactly.
And that's what marriage is about.
Exactly.
Becoming a better you. Hey, my inspired peoples. Linal Harris here, certified ontological coach and trainer. I'm so excited that you're watching the channel. By the way, did you know you can catch the show live at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. every Sunday morning? You can. All you have to do is go to my Facebook stream, Coach Linal Harris, catch the stream live, or you can listen to the radio show via iHeart at WVON 1690 AM. But since you're here, if you love the content, I ask that you share it, like this particular video, and subscribe to the channel. I hope you're having a great day.